In a world so often filled with distractions, external noise, and the constant rush of life, we rarely take the time to pause, to truly look within, and to understand the essence of our being. Yet, the journey of life, at its most profound level, is not about what happens around us, but about what happens within us. Self-awareness and transformation are not just concepts. They are the very foundation of spiritual growth and human development. It is through the process of looking inward, embracing our shadows, and balancing the light and darkness within ourselves that we achieve true transformation. In our society today, much emphasis is placed on external achievements, success, wealth, recognition, and power. But the true measure of our lives lies not in what we accumulate, but in who we become. Let us begin by acknowledging the beauty and the mystery of self-awareness. What does it mean to be self-aware? To truly know oneself. It is not merely knowing your likes, dislikes, habits, or preferences. Self-awareness is far deeper than that. It is about understanding your inner world, your fears, desires, insecurities, and motivations. It is about recognizing the parts of yourself that you have perhaps hidden away, the parts that you are afraid to confront, and the parts that carry pain and unresolved emotions. The first step towards transformation is the courage to face these parts of ourselves. We must be willing to look into our own darkness, because it is only by confronting it that we can begin to heal and grow. There is a profound truth in the saying that no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. What this means is that true spiritual elevation requires us to first descend into the depths of our own psyche, to explore the places we often avoid, the painful memories, the guilt, the shame, the anger, and the sorrow. Yet this descent is not something to be feared. It is, in fact, the most liberating journey we can embark on. For it is only when we understand the darkness within ourselves that we can begin to integrate it into the whole. You see, we cannot be whole if we only acknowledge the parts of ourselves that are pleasant, admirable, or socially acceptable. Wholeness requires that we accept every aspect of who we are, the good and the bad, the light and the dark. When we embrace our shadow, we no longer live in fear of it. Instead, we learn from it, and it becomes a source of strength and wisdom. Transformation, my friends, is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you truly are. It is about peeling away the layers of societal conditioning, the masks we wear to fit in, and the roles we play to meet others' expectations. It is about returning to the core of our being, to the soul that exists beyond all the external labels and identities. This is not an easy process. It requires deep introspection, patience, and above all, honesty with ourselves. But it is a process that is essential for true spiritual growth. The light within us cannot shine brightly if we continue to suppress the darkness. There can be no true peace without first confronting the internal conflicts that rage within us. There can be no true joy without first acknowledging the sorrow that we carry. There can be no true love without first learning to love ourselves completely, without condition. This leads us to another important aspect of self-awareness, self-compassion. As we begin to explore the depths of our being, we will inevitably encounter parts of ourselves that we may not like. We may realize that we have made mistakes, that we have hurt others or ourselves, that we have fallen short of our own ideals. In these moments, it is crucial that we practice self-compassion. It is easy to fall into the trap of self-judgment or self-criticism, but this only hinders our growth. Transformation is not about punishing ourselves for our shortcomings. It is about learning from them, forgiving ourselves, and choosing to move forward with greater awareness. The spiritual journey is not a linear path. It is not about constantly moving upwards or achieving perfection. Rather, it is a cyclical process of growth, reflection, and renewal. There will be moments of light, where we feel connected to the divine, filled with joy and clarity. And there will be moments of darkness, where we feel lost, confused, or disconnected. Both are necessary. Both are valuable. The darkness teaches us humility, patience, and resilience. The light gives us hope, purpose, and direction. Together, they create the balance that is essential for our growth. In embracing this balance, we must also recognize that transformation is not a solitary journey. While self-awareness requires us to look inward, it is through our interactions with others that we truly test and refine our understanding. The people in our lives, our family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers, serve as mirrors, reflecting back to us the parts of ourselves that we may not yet see. Everything that irritates us about others, everything that triggers an emotional response, is an opportunity for self-reflection. Why does this person upset me? What part of myself am I refusing to acknowledge? How can I learn from this experience? True transformation, then, is not only about changing ourselves, but also about changing the way we relate to the world. As we become more self-aware, we become more compassionate, more understanding, and more connected to others. We begin to see that the external world is a reflection of our internal state. When we heal ourselves, we contribute to the healing of the world. My friends, the journey of self-awareness and transformation is not easy. It requires courage, patience, and a deep commitment to personal growth. But it is also the most rewarding journey we can undertake. For it is through this journey that we come to know the truth of who we are. We are not defined by our past, by our mistakes, or by the labels that society places upon us. We are not limited by our fears, our doubts, or our insecurities. We are, at our core, beings of infinite potential, capable of extraordinary growth and transformation. Our connection to one another, and the profound role it plays in shaping our journey of self-discovery. We live in a world that is increasingly interconnected through technology, yet many of us find ourselves feeling more isolated than ever. Why is that? How can we be surrounded by people, by friends, family, colleagues, and yet feel so disconnected, so unseen? At the heart of this dilemma is not merely the physical presence of others, but the quality of our interactions. Human connections, when they are true, authentic, and meaningful, have the power to transform us. Yet, many of us find ourselves struggling to communicate in ways that reflect who we really are. We suppress our true thoughts and emotions, either out of fear, misunderstanding, or the belief that they may not be acceptable to those around us. We lose the ability to express what truly matters to us, and in doing so, we lose the opportunity to truly connect, not just with others, but with ourselves. This inability to communicate the essence of who we are leads to an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Not a loneliness that comes from a lack of company, but from a deeper, more existential isolation. Loneliness, as I see it, is not the absence of people in our lives. It is the absence of meaningful connection. It is the inability to share our inner worlds, our deepest thoughts, our values, and our dreams with others. When we cannot communicate these parts of ourselves, we feel unseen and unheard, and our relationships, no matter how many people we may be surrounded by, begin to feel hollow. It is in this space of isolation that many of us begin to question the meaning of our lives. We wonder, what is the point of all this? What am I doing here if no one truly understands me? These are valid questions, but they are also questions that point us in the direction of self-discovery. You see, the frustration and discomfort we feel when we cannot connect with others can serve as a powerful guide. It can lead us inward, forcing us to confront the question, who am I really? We spend so much of our lives trying to fit in, trying to live up to societal expectations, trying to make ourselves palatable to others. But in doing so, we often lose sight of our individuality, our uniqueness, the things that make us who we truly are. When we hide parts of ourselves to avoid conflict or rejection, we create a gap between the person we show to the world and the person we truly are inside. And it is in this gap, this space between our outer persona and our inner self, that loneliness begins to grow. Human connections are essential for self-discovery because they hold up a mirror to who we are. Every interaction, every conversation, every relationship is an opportunity to see ourselves more clearly. When someone reacts to us, whether positively or negatively, it gives us insight into how we are perceived and, more importantly, how we perceive ourselves. The things that irritate us about others, or the things that bring us joy, are reflections of the aspects of ourselves that we either resist or embrace. But let's not confuse superficial interactions with meaningful connections. True connection requires vulnerability. It requires us to be open, honest, and authentic, not just with others, but with ourselves. How can we expect to form deep, meaningful relationships if we are not willing to reveal the truth of who we are? How can we expect others to see us if we are hiding behind walls of pretense and fear? The path to self-discovery, my friends, is not a solitary one. Yes, it requires introspection and the courage to explore our inner world, but it also requires the courage to share that inner world with others. It is through relationships that we are challenged, tested, and ultimately transformed. It is through the friction of human connection that we are forced to confront our own shadows, the parts of ourselves that we may not want to see. But here is the beautiful paradox. While it is true that others can show us who we are, they can only do so if we are willing to show up as our authentic selves. The more we hide, the more we conform, the less we will learn about ourselves. The more we seek approval from others by suppressing our individuality, the more disconnected we will feel. This is the tragedy of human connection, when we fear rejection so much that we reject ourselves in the process. Yet there is hope. There is always hope. Because the moment we begin to embrace our true selves, the moment we begin to communicate our innermost thoughts and feelings, we open the door to genuine connection. It may not be easy. It may feel uncomfortable or even terrifying at times. But it is only through this openness, this vulnerability, that we can truly connect with others, and in doing so, connect with ourselves. We must understand that every human being is on a journey. Every person we meet is struggling in their own way to make sense of the world, to find their place in it, and to understand themselves. When we approach others with compassion, when we are willing to listen without judgment, we create the space for true connection to occur. And when we allow ourselves to be seen, truly seen, we create the opportunity for transformation, not just for ourselves, but for those we interact with. In this way, human connection becomes a sacred practice. It becomes the means by which we evolve, grow, and learn. It becomes the way we bridge the gap between our outer selves and our inner truth. But it requires effort. It requires intentionality. We must be willing to look beyond the surface, beyond the masks that people wear, and see the soul that lies beneath. We must be willing to be patient with one another, understanding that everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. It is often said that you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. This simple truth applies not only to our actions in the world, but also to how we show up in our relationships. It is easy to talk about connection, easy to say we want deeper relationships, but the real work comes in the doing, in the day-to-day practice of showing up authentically, of being present, of listening with our hearts as well as our minds. So, my dear friends, let us commit to this practice of authentic connection. Let us strive to communicate not just the surface-level details of our lives, but the deeper truths of our being. Let us be brave enough to share our fears, our dreams, our vulnerabilities with those we love, and let us be compassionate enough to receive the same from them. In the end, the journey to self-discovery is not just about finding ourselves. It is about finding each other. It is about recognizing that we are all connected, that we all have something to learn from one another, and that true transformation happens when we come together in openness and love. Let us walk this path with courage, with compassion, and with the knowledge that every connection we make is an opportunity for growth, for understanding, and for the discovery of who we truly are. Thank you.